Ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention. I'm going to now explain to you in ZvZ, if you're faced with a 12 pool style, how to respond to it in a way that does not require you to pull drones. In a lot of 2018, pulling around 15 drones was the most standard response to this. However, there are quite a few different permutations of the 12 pool, some of them involving gas. If they do have gas and you pull drones, you die. So since it's kind of hard to tell the difference between 12 pool expand gasless and 12 pool 14 gas, Ling or Ling Bane all in, I will now demonstrate what a 12 pool defense looks like without pulling drones, so you don't die to the ones with gas. Please have your pencils, papers, notepads, notebooks all around you at this time. This is a nice game. We're up against a player who has 12 pooled every game since as long as I've known about them, through all of Heart of the Swarm. 12 pool gasless is a very strong opening. It doesn't really have very many downsides, and it doesn't really have very many hard counters. There are certain builds that can be a sort of counter to it, but the skill ceiling with this is so high for the decision making that you have players like Winter, not the streamer, the Swedish pro gamer, who will go 12 pool every game, and they're always going to find a way to get ahead with it. So my build is going to be hatch first, and I am knowingly going hatch first against someone who I know is going to 12 pool me, because I'm totally fine giving up a natural expansion, and I'm going to show you why. That's not really a big deal for me. So this is 12 pool, saving up larva, making 6 lings, making a queen. There are some different ways that you can execute a gasless 12 pool. Some players will take the base before building the queen. Either one has its own upsides and downsides. With this one, you create a chance to kill one of the opponent's first overlords, which can be a pretty powerful move this early in the game. So with my overlord, I see lings coming across the map. It looks like 12 pool, but it can be difficult to tell whether it's 12 pool with gas or not. So in this case, I'm not going to pull drones. Look at the units tab right now. I have 19 drones. I have perfect saturation in the main on minerals, and I have 1 gas happily mining away. So really, throughout all of this experience of the lings running across the map, the lings biting my hatch, the lings killing my hatch, I'm making more use of the map. I have more mineral income, and I have more gas income. If I did pull drones, then my opponent would have a mineral income lead. You can pull drones if you feel confident in your drone micro, and you're confident that it's a gasless 12 pool opening. But if you're not really in the mood to do that, or you don't want to, you don't have to. You can just give up the base. So here are the adjustments. One adjustment would be you need to be mindful of your first overlord. Sometimes they'll send the queen out, so I just put mine kind of off to the side. I know it's an early pool, so my goal is just to make the most of my 1 base, get ling speed, and then pull out and be active on the map. So I don't really need to rely on this overlord scouting this base. If I go for this base, this overlord's going to die to this queen, and this guy's pretty smart with his first queen. He'll probably pull this overlord back if I put it here, so it's not really safe here against a queen overlord combo. So this is my reaction to this. I went 19 overlord, saving larva. I'm going to make a queen from the main, and then all lings with my larva, and I'm not making a queen from the natural, because even if she does finish in time, all she's going to be able to do is maybe go between some mineral patches and then be killed. So I would rather conserve the units as I can. I'm making lings. I'm going to try to escape with them. I don't need to fight these lings. I'm just running away, kind of occupying their time. And still, through all of this, I have more income than my opponent. I made an overlord from here. I'm taking ling speed, and I'm staying on gas, because this is a clear advantage for me in this scenario. I'm ahead in gas, and my plan is to get ling speed, so I can fight them if they did take gas, and also so I can scout if they didn't. So I'm making a second queen from the main. You can add a baneling nest here. I was confident that the opponent wasn't going with gas because of the queen shooting my overlord, which is why I skipped the Bane nest. I'm going to go for a lair next. So I want to make a few more lings than my opponent, but I don't want to just YOLO lings into them and try to all in, because they have a whole bunch of queens with this gasless opening, and they're going to build a spine. So it's not going to be very efficient for me to try to go for a huge attack in response. I'm just going to play out the match with a gas advantage and tech advantage. So my lair is already started. This is extremely early for a lair in ZvZ. Normally you wouldn't take it at this time, but in this case, I'm just trying to make the most of a drone lead and maintain map control. So I have these speedlings running around. If there were some drones that were mining here, I could just dart in, kill a couple, and fall back. The drone count is still pretty even here, and I'm just droning behind all this. I'm not relying on getting a bunch of damage. I just want to pressure my opponent and maintain presence outside their base while I'm droning away as fast as I can. And I am droning my natural even before it's done, just so I get caught up in income as quickly as possible. So instantly inject the base. Lair is done. I'll get a spire. Lings are just trying to maintain some presence. This is kind of a debatable trade. Killing a queen means I'm less vulnerable to Nidus attacks, but I did trade a lot of lings for it. Not sure if that was the best. So I'm droning and droning. Trying to get up to 2 base muta saturation here. And I'm ahead in workers, even after losing the base. Losing the base just kind of delayed the game state, if you think about it. But it created a state where I had an extremely large gas advantage. So I'm trying to play that to my advantage if I can. So he's got a bunch of mineral mining now. His main is caught up. He is working on his lair. And if the ling count ever tips in the opponent's favor, you can just add some speedlings. Having ling speed means you can decide what fights you take. So the spire is going. Banking up minerals and gas for some mutas. And then you want to make a big round of overlords before the muta production. So 2, maybe you can make 3. It's pretty similar. I'm going for an overseer scout here because I want to find out if I'm getting all in with a Nidus. And I see the drone. Looks like it's not going to be a Nidus. It could still be one, but it's going to be weakened by the cost of this. So I see gas and roach speed, which again is another tell that it's probably just a roach macro opening. And he's going to go ahead and send the roaches. I didn't have good vision of this, so these catch me off guard a little bit. But here, the mutas are going to be able to kill everything. I will take some damage, but not as much damage as my opponent is taking in the amount of roaches that have been killed. So units lost is favoring me. That's a nice thing about muta versus roach. I lost a queen, so I'll remake one, and then I'm going to take a third. And one follow-up that I really like to a mutaflock like this is going for a big roach ravager timing, because they're responding with a bunch of queens, which are bad against roach ravager. Spores obviously do nothing against roach ravager. Killing an upgrade gives me a more even footing if we have a roach ravager battle. And hydras have a bit of a soft spot against roach ravager because they need 2 upgrades before they become really powerful. Whereas ravagers already have an innate fast move speed. You don't have to research anything from them, you just morph them from roaches. So these roaches are going for an attack. I'm making roaches now, and this is off of 3 base saturation with 5 gas. The main base has a bit fewer minerals left there, so it's 57 workers. And I'm starting to make a bunch of roach ravager. This is going to be a pretty common occurrence as well in the 12 pool scenario, because you're mining in your main base for a long time and your natural is delayed. So since everything is delayed, your main base is going to be mining out at a point that feels earlier based on the game flow. So the 4th base is pretty important here, just so you can transfer workers and eventually drone up a little bit more. But the mutas are just trying to maintain a presence, delay creep spread, see stuff that's moving out, prevent my opponent from attacking with roaches. And then now I'm going to be attacking with roach ravager. The ratio here is something some people ask about. I have 22 roaches and 8 ravagers. So having more than 2 to 1 roach to ravager is pretty important. Ravagers do have less health than roaches, so you want to have more roaches than ravagers basically all the time, because they're your frontline unit, the ravagers are a backline unit. And if you notice, queens are slow, so it's a lot harder for them to dodge the biles. And queens are also really low DPS against ground units. So here they're basically just providing a tiny bit of damage and mostly transfuse. Whereas my ravagers with the biles are either forcing the opponent to move a lot, or they're dealing heavy damage. And my roaches and everything have +1. +1 in roach speed. And as your army pushes in, oftentimes you'll get some openings for the mutas to swing in and deal some damage. My control here isn't perfect, but you can tell, even though Roach Hydra is a better composition than Roach Muta on paper, the Ravagers can end up chipping away at a lot of the infrastructure that would be good against the mutas, so the mutas start to be successful again. You can pick off stray units and roaches, stuff that's being transferred around, and they become quite strong again. 4th base is up and making a queen from there. I have +2 range attack going, and now I'm just in kind of the Roach Ravager macro mode, trying to keep the bases injected through this. You could make drones if you wanted to. You could make roaches and keep pressing the attack. If the opponent did get lurkers, sometimes you can just outmaneuver them by going from the 3rd base to the 4th base to the 3rd base to the 4th base, and sometimes they'll make a mistake and you can push in and win. But if they defend really well, Viper is your next tech piece. So Roach Ravager Viper allows you to blind or abduct groups of lurkers and still beat the opponent and go for your +3 upgrade. Did you know that? Now you know. This has been an episode in, wow, what do I do against this cheese? There you go.